Hi, I'm Łukasz, and in this video I'm going to show you how to deploy Azure Data Platform infrastructure using Terraform and Azure DevOps pipelines. Usually, when you build a data platform in the cloud, for example in Azure, you need to create several services like Azure Data Lake Storage or Databricks for transformation. And it's quite convenient to use Azure Portal to just create a services via GUI and just forget about everything. However, imagine that there will be a situation that all of the services will be deleted because one of your developer make a mistake. Or, for example, you need to change something and you need to click for all of the environments, and imagine that you have, for example, 4 of them, and set the same parameter for each environment. This is quite problematic, and that's why we need an infrastructure as a code approach. And what is infrastructure as a code? Imagine that you collect all of your services, put them into one script, add necessary parameters and say, hey, I need this services with those parameters, and just click and all of the services will be deployed. One of the tools that make this approach available is Terraform. So Terraform is a tool for infrastructure as a code, of course. To make Terraform work, you need to firstly prepare a script with all of the services for Azure and all of the necessary parameters. Then you need to run the Terraform process, and Terraform process will deploy all of the services that you need. What is really good for this approach is that, for example, you can just get the script and put it in the repository. And for example, if you change something, you are able to track the changes and you avoid the situation where all of the services will be gone and you need to click again all of the parameters. With Terraform, you need only to just run the command Terraform apply, and that's all. Of course, to make it working automatically, we can use Azure DevOps Pipeline, and thanks to it, we will be able to just, when someone will apply new changes to your Terraform script, Azure DevOps will automatically run the process and deploy the changes. On demo, I will show you how you can create a Terraform script with basic data platform services like Azure Databricks, Azure Key Vault, Azure Storage Account, Azure SQL, Azure Data Factory. Then we will prepare an Azure DevOps pipeline that will deploy the whole infrastructure. All of the code will be available on Git repository, and thanks to it, you will be able to track the changes. So, if we would like to deploy the data platform, we need firstly define what we would like to deploy, what services, what resource group, etc. For this purpose, I will use a Terraform. So what you are seeing right now is a script in HCL, which stands for HashiCorp Configuration Language. And here I describe all of the services that will be deployed to my data platform. So let's go from the beginning. I will describe what we have here. We have some initial configuration at the beginning, and after that we have our first resource. The first resource is the resource group. As you can see, we have a resource group. Here is the name, data platform minus, and this is the variable definition and the location where our resource will be created. As you can see, we have a variable here because Terraform enables us to create variables. In my case, all of the variables are in variable TF. As you can see, we have the environment, but this is only the definition. This is string and the default value. In my case, all of the values of the variables are in this file. As you can see, it's named dev.tfvars. Why dev? Because I would like to deploy it on dev environment, and I set up the name of dev.tfvars. As you can see, we have values of all variables that are used in my main script. So in this case, environment is dev. This means that if we have a value here. It will be replaced to data platform minus dev right now. Minus dev. Yeah, we have the resource location, which is West Europe and so on and so forth. Yeah, but look at SQL admin password, because I will create a SQL server and I need to paste the initial password. Here we have something which is called a token, because I don't want to place my password, initial password in the plain text. I just paste the token here, and this token will be replaced by value from Key Vault during the CI/CD process in Azure pipelines. Yeah, so you can see something like this. Let's go back to the main Terraform file, what I have here. Yeah, of course, everything you can find in the documentation. For example, this is how you should define the storage account, and as you can see, here is the code. So if you would like to create a new service that is not here, you can use registry.terraform.io. Okay, so we have our resource group. Then I would like to create a storage account. As you can see, here is the configuration parameters, account tier, application time, and so on. I would like to deploy the Databricks workspace as well, and the SQL server, and data factory, and Key Vault. Yeah. So these are all of the services that will be deployed. Yeah. So all of these files are of course in the documentation. What is important as well is the backend configuration. When I will deploy the changes, Terraform will create a special file that contains all of the services that were created. So for example, to avoid the situation that you will create all of the services, so run the Terraform script and try to create a resource group again and get an error, Terraform creates a file and read this file, and it will have information that, sorry, this is created, so you don't need to create it again. Yeah, in this case, I would like to save this file on an external storage account. So as you can see, here are the parameters that need to be configured, and as you can see, we have the access file, access key, and key is in Key Vault as well. So I just paste the token with the name of the Key Vault. Yeah, so all of the file I have in my repository, because I will create an Azure DevOps pipeline which will deploy the stuff, but you can do it locally. All you need to do is just install Terraform on your machine, and you can of course deploy it from the machine. However, I would like to create an Azure DevOps pipeline, and this is why I just create a script here, and I will show you how to configure Azure DevOps pipeline. So we have almost all. Let's go to our Azure DevOps because we need to create some configuration. As you can see, I am in Azure DevOps and I need to create a few things. The first thing is go to project settings and go to service connections, because we need to connect from Azure DevOps to Azure portal. Yeah, because we would like to create services, so we need to connect those two services, the DevOps and Azure. Let's go to service connection, and as you can see, I have a few connections. To create new one, you just create a new, and then go to resource manager, next, and you set up in the authentication method. In my case, I will use the automatic service principal. This means that when you finish those steps, the service principal will be created, and it will have a contributor rule. This means that if you are aware of the security, so for example, you want to avoid the situation, you can create your own service principal. In my case, it's totally fine. However, you can set up the scope level. In my case, it's the subscription. This means that it will create a service principal that is contributor for all of the subscription. Maybe in your case, it's not a good idea to have something like this, so you need to verify if the privileges are sufficient. Yeah, I just set up the subscription, the service name, and that's all. Yeah, you just click to save, and that's all. It will be authenticated. and the connection should be able to do. And via this connection, you are able to create new resources from this place. Yeah. Okay. What I need it's the access to Key Vault, because I will store the initial passwords there. So for example, if I would like to deploy something which needs a password, I will store the password in the Key Vault. What's more, as I said in the previous part, we need to create a special storage account for the Terraform state file. This means that in my Azure subscription, I create a new resource group which is called infrastructure, and as you can see in this resource group, we have the storage account for the Terraform state file, and the Key Vault. Yeah, so these are the additional steps that I need to create before running the pipeline. Yeah, so let's connect to our Key Vault. Let's go to the pipelines, and as you can see, we have the library here. We need to create a new library, so just add a variable group, paste the name, and as you can see, we can link the secrets from Azure Key Vaults, and all you need to do is just choose the subscription and the Key Vault name, and everything will be authenticated. It should work. So what you will able to see here is just all of the secrets name from Key Vault. As you can see, you are not able to see the password, but you are able to see the secret name. So this variable is available to use in the pipeline. Okay, so let's go to the pipeline. So what pipeline will do is just follow the steps that you described. In our case, it will deploy the configuration to our Azure platform. As you can see, I have the one pipeline here, but you can create another one. You just create a new pipeline. And in my case, I will use Azure Repos Git and YAML Pipeline. You just point to the repository. Repository is of course created. And I will use the starter pipeline. We have two types of pipelines. The first one is classic, when you have something like GUI and you just drag and drop elements. But in our case, I will use YAML Pipeline. This means that I will describe everything in YAML and just run the pipeline. As you can see, here is only the example, but I have the full version of the pipeline. All of the files are of course in the repository. Okay, but we need two more things. Because we have the Azure DevOps, we need to install two extensions. The first one is replace token. So you can go to the marketplace and look for the replace token. Like this. This extension will replace the tokens by values from the Key Vault. So this is what I described previously. And one more thing is Azure Pipelines, Terraform task. Of course, you can do it in different ways. However, for me, it's quite comfortable, so I installed those two extensions. Yeah. Okay, and I will show you how the pipeline looks. Everything is, as you can see, in YAML. So the first part is the trigger. Trigger main means that when you will create a pull request and merge it into main, this pipeline will start. Yeah. The second thing is a pull, because this pipeline needs to be run somewhere on the virtual machine or something like that. And you can use your own virtual machine if you have on Azure subscription, or you can use Azure DevOps pool. In this case, Azure DevOps will create a virtual machine and run the script there. In some cases, you would like to use your own virtual machine for security reasons. As you can see, I described the variables, so I point the variables group. In this case, is the group that we described previously. And yeah, in steps, we have the steps that this pipeline needs to do. So the first step is replace token. In this task, what we are doing is just open all of the files which are TF vars and configuration, and replace the tokens values from Key Vault. Yeah, so when we open, for example, here and we have a password, it will be replaced to the password from Key Vault. Yeah. The next step, the next task is to install the Terraform, because we have a new virtual machine and we need to install the Terraform. The next step is to run the Terraform init command. Terraform init initialize the catalog, the Terraform, and as you can see, we add the additional configuration, backend configuration, which is described here, because we would like to save the Terraform state on the external storage account. The next step, as you can see, is Terraform plan. After this step, you will see what Terraform is gonna do. So all of the services that will be created or destroyed if necessary. And as you can see, we have command options to, and we point to the file with the values of variables, yeah? And the last step is Terraform apply. And in Terraform apply, we just say, hey, create services on Azure. As you can see, we have environment service name, which is the name of our connection to Azure, yeah? So that's all. So let's go back to our pipeline, and here is our pipeline. Let's go to Azure. As you can see, those are my resource groups. So let's try to run the pipeline and just click run. Yeah, as you can see, here is the job, and you will have all information about the current status. Yeah, and after several minutes, our pipeline finished. Let's review the scripts. Let's review the logs, and as you can see, Terraform plan. As you can see here, we have all of the services that will be created. Yeah, and Terraform apply, which apply the changes. Let's go to my Azure portal and refresh. Yeah, as you can see, our resource group is created. All of the stuff is here, and let's try to remove, for example, the Key Vault and try to run the pipeline again. Yeah, so let's go to the Key Vault and delete. Okay, and let's try to run our pipeline again. So run the pipeline. This means that if you remove the service and run the pipeline again, it should create the service again. What is really important here is, for example, if you extend the script, main TF, the new services will be added. Yes, so the existing one won't be recreated, but the additional one will be created as well. Okay, let's go to the plan. Yeah, and our plan said that we need to create a Key Vault. Yeah, so this Key Vault will be recreated again. Yeah, and as you can see, our Key Vault was recreated again. I hope that this video will be helpful to you. Remember that Terraform can help you only with the infrastructure. If you, for example, delete all of the data from storage account, Terraform will not help you to recover the data. It's only for the infrastructure. And bear in mind that this is only really easy example. In real life, you will have probably more complicated scripts with a lot of policies and, for example, network rules. However, it's a good point to start. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.